Evil Geniuses versus VG Gaming Reborn.
And there you have it, folks. We're live now. Elimination match, our second to last of the day. Only Secret versus Empire still to come. Will the boys in blue survive to fight another day, or will VG.R cut them off at the knees, gods, and send them packing early in the Manila Major?
It's crazy to think some of the teams that could be getting eliminated just on day one. Talking about EG, Secret potentially, VG.R, Empire, maybe one of the teams people didn't expect a whole lot of, but they've been playing some good Dota, and 4 teams going home just here today.
Yeah, and you even have teams coming into this tournament like Wings, who many considered a big favorite based on recent performances to go deep in the event, also getting knocked out very early. So anything can happen at BO1s. It is absolutely chaotic. And with that, teams heading out to their lanes now, so we are going to see EG protecting their jungle. It will be a 4-position Axe here. Definitely less common way to run the hero. Do you think it fits this game?
I think it's all right. He's got the blood vial ready to go. Turn that. Oh yeah, that looks good.
Electric blue, electrified.
Whew. Trying to throw off his opponents.
I'm still waiting for the blood red. I think a lot of the folks at home are, but
in trouble.
Rune, Bulba gets caged. They found the cone head and they want to beat him down. VG.R working on him. There's the DK stun. This looks to be the first blood. One more swipe. DDC gets it, and VG.R come out swinging, grabbing the first blood there on the Darkseer.
Oh, Bulba.
Not the way you're looking to start the game if you're EG.
No, not at all. He thought he was maybe up against just 1 or 2 heroes there and could contest the rune, but finds himself giving up a lot. But back in the mid lane, problem is DK now has level 1 Dragon Tail. This is the...
Oh, they're going to punish. Even if he doesn't go down here, lane is basically over with that. Has to commit the salve already. He's gone for the early Quelling Blade, which we've seen a lot of the mid-melee heroes do, gods, but with that harassment and with the level 1 Dragon Tail, going to be very tough. As EG is catching the tail end of that, bring down the Slardar bottom, so they strike back, and with that, as well as the movement mid, they may have just completely turned the laning stage right back around.
Yeah, this mid lane's really bad because DK didn't get the bounty rune, doesn't have breathe fire, didn't get the first blood. Like, none of these 3 things go his way, and suddenly he's found himself in a very tough 1v1 matchup against Sumail. But we'll see how things turn around. He'll get a few levels here, be forced to ferry out additional regen just to kind of maintain himself in this lane.
There's the crush from Yang as he dukes it out with PPD, but one of the big things that Bane brings to the table is he can trade blows quite effectively with almost every offlaner. Doesn't really mind the harassment, has the good base stats, and has the regen from the Brain Sap. As again they move on to No, just punishing this Dragon Knight mid, and this time I think they're committing for the kill here, gods. No, sir, you're down. EG, get him again. Make it 2-1. This DK needs help.
With Battle Hunger is just doing work here. Slardar dies again at bottom lane as well. EG are crushing the lanes. AUI and PPD getting their second kill on an offlane Slardar. DK getting pressured time and time again. He has to get a TP back out to the lane. He's nowhere near a bottle pickup.
Clearly the lanes are not working. So what's the adjustment for VG.R?
There's no easy adjustment to do right now. The supports can get together and perhaps rotate around a bit, but if you leave Lifestealer alone against Darkseer, Darkseer's going to get a ton of farm, pressure the lane. So you have to commit either both supports kind of to the top lane and just accept the DK may suffer, or like send one mid and just really try and salvage things. But not even convinced like a disruptor going mid is going to help the DK that much. DK ideally wants solo XP as well as farm towards that bottle. He's just got to kind of slow down the pace here and not give up any more casualties.
Yeah, maybe just don't go for some of those CS that are at or past the river, as that's where the Axes consistently come in and punish them. But on the back of that, Sumail, 12-6, not really that far ahead in the CS department with DK, but bottom again, moving forward here. EG trying to find pickoffs. They're going to force Yang back. It's only level 2 on the Slardar in the offlane, nearly 3 minutes in, does not have the Iron Talon.
Bane's already level 3.5, so this has been a very good safe lane for the EG duo. You get those kills, and as a support, suddenly you get a ton of XP. He's also got pool camps being channeled through, so PPD, one of those rare PPD getting farm kind of games.
Definitely an uncommon sight, but an enjoyable one here for EG. That means a quick Fiend script, and with that, they might be able to kill the lifesteal in the early stages of this game, where he normally would expect to be close to Immortal. So for now, VG.R sticking to the tri-lane here. They do have 2 very level-dependent supports, the Phoenix and the Disruptor, and I think that's where, like you said, as much as it might suck to sacrifice the other lanes, they feel they have no other choice. PPD actually the leader in terms of experience right now. Overall leader, at least if that graph is to be believed, as they move on to Yang bottom. Brain Zap comes through, another kill. AUI and PPD teaming up again. Feels good for the EG fans and working beautifully so far.
The good old days again. Like you say, perhaps the way it feels right now. And the thing is, you get these kills in lane, that's where Fear's and Bulba are just like, okay, we can just jungle it up. We don't actually have to contest the lanes anymore.
And
but
Fear wants to dive
I
this.
say
This Dragon Knight is so vulnerable. There's the Battle Hunger, then the Spirit Siphon. This combo means the man hardly moves, but the Sunray comes in, using it offensively to drive Sumail back, and he'll succeed in doing so. They drop the kinetic field, but there's just not much follow-up damage here. Even DDC joining the fray, and EG calmly walking away thus far, but the glimpse comes out. It's into Nono. Dragon Tail there. The tower not assisting those. The Breathe Fire is on 2, and they're turning on Nono. The Spirit Siphon's going in 2v3. EG are winning the fight and bringing down this DK. No, not again. EG punish after punish, make it 5-1. As Fear looks to limp away, a swoop in from the Phoenix. They might get him a secondary Sunray. So much commitment just for a 4-position roaming axe, and Dragon Knight dying again. Brutal.
EG are just putting on the punish here in the early game lane stage. Four of the top 5 farmed heroes in this game are all on the EG side, coming out of the laning stage in terms of net worth. That is just a brutal desecration here in the laning stage.
Whew. Now, if you're VG.R, this is where you gotta breathe, because the lanes are not looking so hot, but Lifestealer farming okay. Dragon Knight, more of a level-dependent mid than a farm-dependent one, at least at this stage. He will have the ultimate soon. Maybe they can try to transition into a push. We've seen a lot of the teams with Dragon Knight lately do rotate him to their safe lane and then try to take that tower early, but for the time being, it's EG applying the pressure. They go for a smoke here, and they're gonna wrap around towards the top side of the map. PPD looking for that fast level 6, and they want to hunt down Yang, who is desperately playing catch up in this lane.
And even the Axe, level 5, while supporting mid, roaming a lot. Yang thinks he's finally found a safer lane.
Yang.
Not the case.
Safety is nowhere to be found. He does get up the crush though. Fear unable to find the call there, and still may end up going down to the Battle Hunger. An army of creeps just slaughters him, but hey, this is just going to be additional gold as Fear has found the stack.
AUI comes in mid as well to help with the push with X's, but needs to be careful because he's very low.
Great rotations from EG, applying pressure here, there, everywhere, and Sumail sees 4 heroes mid, just runs in on it. AUI will be the man caught though. DDC, good glimpse back, and that is a key core going down. They desperately needed that experience.
Yeah, I like the rotation idea from AUI, but just kind of overextends at the tower. I think getting a bit overconfident because of Sumail's exorcism coming out.
Still, despite that, we're looking at a 2,500 gold lead, a 3,000 nearly experience lead for EG, and they haven't taken a tower yet.
Yeah,
we're only 7 minutes in.
This is going to be one of the most one-sided laning stages we've seen all tournament long, including the group stage.
BO1s, you don't have a good laning stage, you may be having a very quick trip home. Not over yet, though, as VG.R. Looking towards the mid-game gods, obviously, they have some really good comeback potential here. They've got the Infest Bombs, courtesy of the Slardar Blink Dagger, the Dragon Knight who can take objectives like towers, but EG don't want to let it get to the mid-game. They're smoked again, and they're once more just prowling towards the VG.R woods. They will scout out FY. Don't get the call, though. He's able to swoop away with the Icarus Dive just in time, narrowly avoiding death.
So does reveal AUI to be alone at bottom, but
has the Omni Slash and playing very pressured Dota. Normally, AUI a bit more of a passive farmer as far as safe laners go, but he's really been stepping up the aggression here in this game.
I think it's the biggest adjustment he's made since going back to the carry role. He's kind of gone away from those farming routes. He's playing a lot more aggressive fighting carries. The Lifestealer, perhaps one of his best heroes. The Jug, another hero he's had a lot of success in this tournament with. So we're seeing kind of new AUI come out with his returned evil geniuses. So far, at least in this best of one, things looking very good for EG off of their aggressive play.
Phoenix grabbing the bounty rune top, then swooping away. Clever stuff from FY. Still only level 4 though on the Phoenix, and we're now 8 minutes in, and that goes back to, PPD. He's hunting. Sees Yang. Backup's coming in the form of the old man from the south. The crush actually hits PPD.
They see the axe coming
Wall
down.
and Viz, but they get up to sleep. DDC's here. The Centaurs parading about. And they might even go back on to PPD. Gets glimpsed very far away from Yang, who manages to get that crush. Then the Sunray comes through. It's going to be 4 heroes streaming in. Is from the south. Also joining this will be the Dragon Knight. They get PPD, but to some extent, space created. That was a 4-hero kill.
And as soon as the TP start coming, Fear just like backs off like, okay, you're on your own. It's PPD. If you die by yourself, like that's okay as long as other people are farming elsewhere on the map. So. And
Sumail's just right-clicking the tower mid. Exorcism's still online. It's already down to a 3rd HP.
And Jug AUI gets the tier 1 bottom tower. So effectively, your PPD 5-position support for a tier 1 tower, like realistically, at least an even trade at worst, but I'd say even slightly favorable for EG.
As we hit the 9-minute mark here, EG have 4 heroes with 35 or more CS. As for VG.R, barely 2, and DK only just there. They are getting drastically outfarmed. Like you said, just one of the most one-sided laning stages we have had in a very long time here at this event.
Here, VG.R, they can look to kind of group up around some of their ulti cooldowns, like the Elder Dragon form, and find a pick-off, take objectives, but they'd much prefer to wait for something like the Static Storm to come online for Disruptor. Makes their teamfight that much stronger. But the longer they wait, the more EG are just going to get out of the map. EG are happy to kind of, you can see right on the, just looking at the minimap, 5 dots that spread around, all farming somewhere different. Bulbous farming one jungle camp, PPD stacking somewhere else, Fear farming something else towards his blink, Sumail at mid, Jug at bottom. They are getting much more out of the map.
Yeah, and these are big items coming soon. The Axe Blink Dagger, considering how much Fear has moved around, it's not far off. Bulba's mech is very near, the Fiend's Grip about to come online. Even the Yasha for Juggernaut, a pretty big grab. These are items that could allow EG to completely snowball out of control. And we've yet to see VG.R really make a move since that Bounty Rune at the 0-minute mark.
Maybe around the Lifesteal Armlet they can get aggressive, but without a great vehicle for him. Phoenix perhaps the vehicle? You dive in, you drop him off.
The suicide-bound Phoenix.
With a Supernova online that works, and we may see like the Tomb of Knowledge try and accelerate Phoenix's level 6, but
it's going to be tough, though. That's where Juggernaut has the Blade Fury, not going to care about Fire Spirit, just right-click that egg, and you've got 2 other pretty long-range heroes to bring it down. AUI off to a great start here, as we can see. And EG continuing to apply pressure. They do not want to give VG.R room to breathe. They smoke, and they move immediately up the ramp, but there to reveal it, FY, the Spidey senses online. He pings it out. He has successfully, for now at least, scouted up the gank, even if they manage to kill him. Saving the core in the mid.
They'll de-ward it, but not exactly the optimal outcome for EG, who will transition into some pressure up top, it seems.
EG don't even have another smoke available for purchase for 3 minutes. They blew through all of them. One more coming soon.
They're very split up here. They want to get this T1 mid tower, but with only 2 heroes in the mid lane, this is a risky play to go for. So yeah, they leave the tower.
Oh, they get the grip from around the trees onto End. He thought he was hidden, but he's not quite. And simultaneously in the mid lane, also action brewing. Sumail is going to go down, but there's the Infest back to safety. AUI trying to deny that creep, and End now forced to turn and run. There's an Omni Slash available. It's not enough to kill off End, though. He survives. He pops on the armlet. Oh, he's not able to get the secondary toggle, though. Does manage to buy that quarterstaff before going down, and while that was happening, Death Prophet also dying. Now the question is, who gets the bigger objective here? Tier 1 going to be slowly sieged by VG.R mid, and simultaneously top, EG pushing that tower. But that tower is closer to dropping, so EG get the tower first. The pings come out from the Death Prophet. Looks like Sumail wants to fight.
Yeah, he should be TPing back mid to defend this one. The bigger kill, I'd say, on the Death Prophet, but EG again getting a tower, so they're the ones
and they get a blink
objectives.
now on the Axe.
Yeah, this Axe is going to become a big problem. With the Iron Shell, his damage up when he gets these calls off is just starting to really add up, and it just sets up that Culling Blade so well.
Their 4-position support for EG is ahead of the enemy offlaner, and it's not like the supports of VG.R are farming especially well. This is still a big hill to climb for the VG Gaming boys.
Supernova at least online for VG.R. They've got to try and find some big team fights. Yang has managed to get very close to a Blink Dagger on Slaughter, though.
Rushing it really hard here. Boots, Iron Talon, straight Blink appears to be the build.
Died 4 times, but you just go dedicated jungle mode, you will reach that Blink Dagger at least a respectable timing. Problem is a lot of VG.R stacks in their jungle, but Axe is here to take these.
They already took a big triple stack earlier up near the top lane, and now Fear moving in deeper.
He sees this other stack as well. It's dangerous to go for this. He may call for some backup.
Well, Fear stealing stacks, but VG.R looking to steal some kills while EG are unsuspecting. They get Sumail again. That's 2 deaths for him. He's still up there in net worth, but that's a lot of golden experience thrown back the way of VG.R as the stack does completely drop. So EG still staying on top here, but it feels like we're starting to see those signs of life from VG.R as they get the call here onto FY. He's got a slight swoop available, still holding the egg. EG are really diving for this. Fear not going to go for the Culling Blade there. Gets juked a bit as DDC TP's in, and that was dangerously close to EG getting punished for their dive, so they will back away.
FY cancelled his Icarus dive. I don't think that was intentional. He kind of did a very short dive away, unless he was doing some next level bait, but...
I thought he was going to like short dive and then immediately egg, but EG could have just backed away if he did that.
Nice defensive maneuvers either way from FY as he gets away, and EG instantly transitioned back into a mid push. I think they need to play more around Sumail. They've been leaving him a bit alone or having one hero back him up.
Slaughter Blink is ready though. Does VG.R want to fight? This tower is about to drop, so do they make their defense at the tier 2?
Again, EG just maintain control of this game. They're the ones taking objective after objective, kind of the position Mineski were in last game, but it feels like EG not only taking objectives, but getting more farm out of the map simultaneously.
They're being more aggressive in their map control on the back of those objectives, I think, is the key here. Is they begin their siege on the mid-tier 2. VG.R, do they really want to fight into an exorcism? It's still going for Sumail here. They've got some time. They debut the Blink and move forward. Once again, it's the Wonder Kid they want. Do they get him in time? He's low. He's not dead yet. He does end up falling. And FY just drives on by. The Firebird falls. Never got off the egg. And meanwhile, Fear on the backside does drop as well. So VG.R make it a 2-for-1. Could have almost been more if he'd gotten that Supernova off. But VG still bringing the tower nearly down. And that's right before a fresh round of items comes out. The mech now complete on Bulba, Sanjin Yacha up on AUI 2000. They are ramping up for that next level of aggression, guys.
I don't believe they knew about the Slider Blink because that Infest Bomb completely destroyed the Death Prophet, even with an instant Nightmare from PPD. PP got the Nightmare off, then Fiend script the Lifestealer to try and mitigate the damage output coming from the VG.R initiation, but wasn't enough. They needed that extra bit of sustain that the mech would have given them. They knew about the Blink, perhaps they would have waited for that item pickup, but even so, it's still EG in a pretty good position here. They have to be very respectful of the damage that can come out from the Slider Blink with the amp damage with the Lifestealer, and now we're going to see the Echo Saber come next for N, so his damage output just going to keep on increasing.
Yeah, worth mentioning, EG, they just bought another smoke. This is their last one for about 9 minutes. They have been chewing through these way more than they normally do. This is a much more aggressive side of EG compared to what we've seen thus far in the event.
Flips back, they've called PPD.
PPD out of position a bit, team nowhere in sight. It looks like they are going to sacrifice their captain. He goes down with the ship here. 7-9 at 16 minutes. Still only a 5-position Bane, not the biggest loss, but this could be bigger. The smoke slithering up towards top. Yang just hunting. This Jug could be in danger here. Are we going to see a Blade Fury TP? Owie playing it safe. Is there going to be a first hit bash? Oh, they don't get it. Doesn't actually have a point in it yet. So, minimal casualties overall for EG.
Yeah, EG, again, losing PPD is not the end of the world for them. It's the AUI kill that would have been the big turnaround for VG.R. And VG.R do get back some map control. They deward their jungle, deny some of that EG vision that's kind of plagued them. But it's still going to be EG just farming more of the map right now. They've got 4 cores effectively at this stage. With how much farm Fear's gotten out of the map, they're going to be transitioning really well into this mid game where VG.R have 2 pretty underfarmed supports. I mean, for supports they're fine, but the Slider himself as an offlaner isn't doing too well. So 3 heroes that aren't really transitioning well in terms of item progression.
And normally when you get the Slider Blink, even if you don't farm, you get a lot of kills. But we haven't seen all that many. Partially just due to EG's good awareness, and since that debut of the Blink Dagger, they've mostly dodged his ganks.
Another Infest up in a couple of seconds, and it seems VG.R really just want to keep taking the fights to EG. They're going to start chewing through their smokes, 2 back-to-back.
It's going to be 2 smokes, crossing in the night. Who gets the jump? Yang aggressively moving up the ramp, but ready to reveal it as PPD. He's on the high ground. There's a Blake, a crush. He's a bit slow to react. They're going to lose the Bane off the bat, and Fear moves in, gets a good call. The wall is there. He drops the egg immediately. FY with the defensive maneuvers, but Yang off to the south, almost dead. One more auto tech will finish him, and now Sumail's going to turn back. Boba just surging away on a sliver of HP. He does survive while Sumail chews through these backliners of VG.R. A scattered chaotic fight as FY swooping into the pit, and then Sunray up to the high ground, but Fear is going to find him, gives him the vision needed. Sumail finding a triple kill and looking for more. No, just wants to get out. TPs, makes it home. It's a 3-for-2 exchange. a win for EG, but not an overwhelming victory.
And the fight started really well for VG.R. It wasn't until like Sumail comes in, slashes down the back lines. You can't fight into this Death Prophet exorcism now that it's hit level 2, and
starting the fight by killing Bane is not the same as starting the fight by killing Death Prophet.
And that's the surprise Infest Bomb coming out. So after you've seen the Lifestealer come out, you're not really worried about him jumping on top of one of your core heroes. They got the amp damage onto the Axe, but even Fear managed to just tank his way through that fight. So,
well, it's VG.R's turn to start popping smokes as they swing around. Are they going to consider a Roshan here? It looks like they will.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, using a smoke to commit to Roshan better than finding a pickoff or two. Even if it's just one pickoff on a core. Getting an Aegis allows you to take complete map control, assuming EG don't react in time, but without Exorcism, I think that's where VG.R feel very confident in their ability to take this one.
Well, it was a 3 for 2 earlier, but if they get a Roche, it becomes a huge win for VG.R as AUI starts to poke and prod, moves towards the pit. He gets up the spin here. He walks on to 3. The Aegis already down. That's grabbed by the Lifestealer. The last hit to the Dire, so a complete win so far. PPD going to drop. EG have come in a bit late to the pit. They do get a good back up onto the hill. Yang going to TP out. No. Fighting against Illusions. Decides to just TP, but he's in trouble here on top of the cliff. Really doesn't have an exit plan. FY swooping out, toggling the armlet, but again, EG keeping the vision up. Fear's in deep. Did find that secondary kill. Now the DK down, and chewing up some of these heroes. A 2 for 2 overall. EG do contest in the pit. They get 2 cores, and the Dragon Knight continues to die. He has had a really rough game.
Yikes, yeah, this poor DK. 3 deaths now, but he's been involved in a lot of the kills and assists recently, so he hasn't actually managed to kind of catch up and keep on par with Sumail in terms of overall net worth. But a great Aegis acquisition for VG.R does set them up to kind of continue some aggression out of the Lifestealer Infest Bombs.
And that's where Death Prophet does have an Achilles heel, and it's the cooldown on the ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
VG.R, good shot calling there.
I mean, EG get in there in time, but it only goes like even because of the vacuum onto the high ground. If not for that Bulba vacuum, that fight would have been very VG.R favored.
Oh boy.
And the Static Storm was also just slightly off. If you catch perhaps, ideally you want to try and catch AUI in that one at the end of his Blade Fury, but just didn't quite happen.
Feels like vision could become a big concern for EG. Now a Shadow Blade out for the Dragon Knight. No, actually bought a blink there for a moment, so it looks like they were going to go for the double blink infest, but they opt for the Shadow Blade, puts an additional tax on the supports as he's going to debut it. Who's he start on? It's AUI, stuns him and looks to go in the mid lane. The Static Storm getting dropped as well, and they're going to burst him. He melts and ends trying to move forward for PPD. Sumail slowed down, chewed up. He might be spit out momentarily, and Fear tried to save the day, but the kinetic field catches them again. Swooping forward, FY looking for the finish here and working on Sumail, but it's just that damn Spirit Siphon. They can't kill him until they turn back and say, well, we'll take the Bane instead. So it ends up being a 2 for nothing, and now Sumail, with the Exorcism even committed to that fight, forced to run away. And now the Glimpse. They find Sumail. He might drop again. This could be a huge coup d'etat for VG.R. The Ghost still going. Can he turn it? Sumail's tanking. They return at the right moment. VG.R can't finish him off. They've overextended. Now Bulba's coming back into the fight, and FY's got to try to heal his teammates up. He stands his ground. He swoops back in. He wants a piece of Sumail, but Sumail is not afraid, and Fear comes in. Chop number 1. Looking for a second dunk. Does Bulba have the mana for a surge? He's close. He chops him too. EG punish the overextension of VG.R and come roaring back.
Sumail hit.
Still EG leading this one by a lot.
Sumail hit the silence on Phoenix mid-dive and prevented the supernova. He was trying to dive in and go for a supernova play, and then he can't cancel the dive. He can't get the supernova off. He comes back and he's still silenced, so he just gets taken out. And once that Phoenix kind of is committed to that fight without a supernova, VG.R were in a lot of trouble, and EG allowed to continue to chase and find kill after kill.
That was a really key time for them as well, because now End has his Deso. If he has a Deso in that fight, they get 3-4 additional kills.
Sumail just surviving through so much on multiple occasions. First at the T2 tower of VG.R's at mid, then on the retreat when he got glimpsed back and he survives again. It really has been VG.R's undoing, just that little bit of burst damage that they're missing.
Yeah, well, they have the Deso now, so we'll have to see if that makes the difference here, but Sumail has managed to pick up a plate mail, up to another 1,000 gold. EG starts work on a stack, closing in on a Battle Fury for AUI 2000. So it does seem like EG want to have that insurance policy should this go later. You drew a parallel to the Mineski game earlier, Gods. But Maneski itemized a little bit more for the mid game. Feels like EG are keeping their options open should this go late.
Yeah, that was one of Maneski's biggest downfalls is despite having a good late game lineup, they never really built towards it. So we'll see AUI guarantee some late game farm as well as damage output with the Battle Fury pickup. Very good time on it to go with his SMY. He is the most farmed hero in the game, and for EG, I don't think they're going to be too worried about this game dragging out at this stage. Lifesteal, a hero who notoriously falls off quite poorly in the late game because of how easy he is to kite. When you look at things like Surge and Force Staffs on the side of EG.
Spirit Siphon, the ghost just chewing into you. Lifestealer has to be ahead, and he has to be bursting someone early in these fights.
And even like Omnislash, Lifesteal, one of his biggest weaknesses is to physical damage, so Omnislash is one of the more annoying spells to deal with as a Lifestealer.
Well, in good news for VG.R, although they're down quite a bit of gold, that is largely due to the tower deficit here. So far, a 4-tower disadvantage, but they're going to look to make good on their own objectives as they move to the bottom lane. So Tier 1 there will be brought down by End. Still the other Tier 1 standing for EG, and it's allowed them to project force very deep into the VG.R jungle as a result. We can see EG moving in, farming up camps, rotating towards that Tier 2 top.
Kind of going both ways for now, at least. Like you see VG.R get into the enemy jungle, but rather than invade further or pressure the bottom lane, they actually decide to head exactly towards where EG are on the map to try and take a fight.
Big commitment here. They have a very scary team fight, gods. If EG get caught out, they could get wiped.
They need to burst this Death Prophet, but it's so hard. If Fear can counter-initiate with a Blink Call, the Lifestealer may just not be able to get the job done.
What great positioning. They're going to leave the Axe in front to scout up the gank. The ping comes through. They do. Oh, chunk him down. My God, he melts. But the Exorcism now comes out, and Sumail looks to re-engage. Fear out of the fight. Let's see if VG.R stick around.
Very disciplined. VG, they disengage after getting the kill because they don't want to fight when Lifestealer doesn't have Rage up. So once they get the first kill, Rage is about to wear off. They back off, wait for their next Rage.
And now they're moving back in. No buyback here, so it is a power play for VG.R. Looking for that follow-up kill. Exorcism forced out. And that's an even bigger win. Looked like maybe EG would get the counter kills, but VG.R just forced them back by not dying immediately, and now they'll have another window where EG don't have their full team fight.
Yeah, they're going to go for this tier 1 tower at top, possibly even go for 2 towers if they're feeling extra confident with Exorcism down. VG.R have managed to claw their way back a bit into this game, and it's pretty much come from this draft of theirs. They've got this really tanky front line, the Phoenix to back them up, and this great burst damage initiation out of the Infest. Something that's always going to be a big problem for EG to deal with. They've just got to tank up as much as possible, get that armor going. Sumail's got a plate mail, but it's going to come all across the board in terms of survivability. Even someone like Fear, he looked like paper there, and that's one of the problems with going for this 4-staff. It's a great item to kite Lifestealer around with, but if you're the one getting initiated, he died in 2 right clicks, it felt like.
Yeah, amp damage, and then you've got the Deso. So you're looking at like well over minus 22 armor there, and Lifestealer already hitting for over 200 a pop with armlet turned off.
And Echo Saber means you get the insta double hit, so it's very, very hard to stay alive against this guy.
Looking overall at VG.R's draft, they have some good like early to mid-game nuke damage from the Phoenix, a bit they breathe fire, and then the Disruptor with his AoE combo, but going late, this is all physical damage from VG.R, and it definitely feels like EG need to be building as much mitigation as possible, be that evasion, be it damage block, be it plus armor, or they're just going to melt.
Yeah, they need all your ACs, Vlads, whatever it may be, Shivers. Looks like the Sumail pickup, but they haven't got the ideal heroes to build those. I mean, Fear, if he can get a lot of farm, can go into some armor items, but even him may just be thinking, let's get something like a Blade Mail. Jug isn't really an ideal candidate to be picking up an Assault Crest, not by any means a traditional pickup for the hero.
Yeah, he's not all that tanky, and if he gets caught at the start of the fight, one crush, he's probably dead even with an AC. Or at least running and not giving the armor to his team. So EG instead, they go for the Diffusal Blade here. AUI closing in on that. They do take down the Tier 2 top. Still holding a significant tower advantage. They've brought down 5 overall. Only 2 taken by VG.R, so a 3-tower edge thus far. But it just, the overall momentum of the game, gods, you can kind of sense that EG, they don't have the confidence they did the first 10 to 15, even 20 minutes where they were in the driver's seat, they were invading VG.R's jungle, they were constantly finding ganks. Now they're a little bit more tentative about their movements.
And they can't afford to be playing too cautiously, because if you play too much on your side of the map or don't want to impose yourself, suddenly it's VG.R taking another Roshan, and with an Aegis on Lifesteal, they can be incredibly aggressive. So EG need to be the ones kind of continuing to play with confidence, and it looks like
big smoke timing here. Roshan is up. a clean win by either team could really determine the course of this game. Who's going to get that initiation? PPD down in the river for now. You can see VG.R, they sense something is awry. Top lane's pushing, and more importantly,
BKB on Dragon Knight, so that's a big item pickup to have for this fight. A lot of physical damage still with Jug and Death Prophet, but it could just mean not getting caught in like a vacuum wall when you initiate, for example. So,
but it is Dragon Knight, so he's already looking at 28 armor, and then if you toggle on the armlet, he's up to 33. So he's much more resistant to it than the likes of the Paper Axe with 11 armor to call his own.
VG just smoke and then fall back and hug their T2 tower. They are very scared of VG.R right now.
VG.R moving forward. It's Yang in front. He's usually been the initiator here. Has the Force Staff as well, and also a bit of extra catch range. Who gets the jump? There's the crush. It's a swing and a miss, and now they look for the turn, but an instant glimpse back of PPD. VG.R, no. The jig is up. They need to disengage. No turning. Trying to fight this one out as Fear jumps onto him. The egg gets dropped in the midst of it all. The Omni Slash onto No. He needs a little bit of help to tank this thing. Nobody focusing the egg. The stun does come out. Sumail pushed forward into the middle of the enemy team. They're going to focus him down. Death Prophet dead. That's the damage for EG. They don't have a whole lot without it. Fear's falling the back. The wall. It's up to Bulba to turn this, and gets purged and gets slowed, and AUI tries to hack, tries to bring him down, but that's a tanky zombie. He infests, he pops back out. The Blade Fury prevents the damage. Could have been an instant kill. Still Yang in pursuit, looking for more. They are going to grab the disruptors, the trade, but now PPD in a lot of trouble. Crushed down near the pit, surrounded, pounded, brought down. A 2 for 3. The Illusions joining this one though, and working now on Yang. He takes some damage from this. It's an overall win for VG.R, with the Exorcism even committed to that fight, but almost salvaged by Bulba.
What a amazing Static Storm, catching out Death Prophet as well as the Bulba Darkseid. Darkseid was running in to get his vacuum wall combo off, then got silenced. If VG.R had actually fully burst him down during that silence, it would have been a horrifically one-sided fight in favor of VG.R, but luckily for EG, they got the vacuum wall off when the silence wore off. It was still a lost fight for them, but could have been a whole lot worse. All of that off of a slightly missed Blink initiation. The best thing for VG.R though is that Lifesteal did not pop out when they missed the Blink Crash. And also the Blink Crash on Bane is not really the ideal target. We've seen it before at the starts of fights, and that's where not dealing with someone like the Axe or Darkseid has really hurt VG.R. But much better fight for them, and with 50 seconds without Exorcism, if they're fast, they could try to get into this Roshan pit before EG are ready to fight.
Yeah, still nowhere near an Octarine for Sumail. He did opt for the Shivas, trying to deal with this minus armor that VG.R pump out. But it does mean a longer cooldown there on the Exorcism.
EG, they're going for a jump here.
Aggressive move forward, but the Static Storm once again planted. It's a 3-hero cross. Surprise! It's me, your end, EG, as he mauls them down. Bulba barely trying to get away. He won't make it. 3 have fallen, and they are completely routed. A bold maneuver up the hill. Completely shut down. Yang just silenced them.
Yang is one of those players, like, he can have a terrible landing stage, but he is a teamfight specialist. He is so good with his initiations. 9 times out of 10, they'll just win you the team fight right there. Like a 3-hero crush, perfect, on point. VG.R crush EG when they're fighting without Exorcism. They take a Roche.
And now they have the level 3 Elder Dragon form, which just gives them that extra bit of team fight potential, can really shut down the Juggen fights. What an engagement this was.
Yeah, I think EG just perhaps got a bit cocky when they thought the Phoenix was alone dewarding, but it was a great decision from the Slaughter and the Lifesteal Infested to stay on the high ground while they're dewarding. They didn't run into the ward and reveal their position, and EG, despite getting a decent wall vacuum off from Bulba, the fight was already lost after Slaughter hit that 3-hero crush.
And that was the fight that just tipped the game. All of a sudden, we're looking at probably over a 5,000 gold swing, and over more than that in experience. This is VG.R's first lead of the entire game, gods. At 33 minutes in, they're starting to hit their stride. They're confident, pushing forward mid. As No swoops in, it's Fear going for the blink call. He does find DDC. They get the disruptor nice and early. No looks for the disengage. EG hunting for stragglers here. PPD creeps in. We'll see another TP out. No. Will they be able to catch him though? Nah, he's got the Aegis, he's got a BKB. They do get him once with the sleep. It's not going to be an easy kill, but the call is there. The sleep coming back on. He BKBs. Does he fight? He gets gripped as well. EG, some serious hate for No. They get him once. Do they get him a second time? Slardar's coming in. Backups on the way.
No detection.
EG moving forward. They look for the call. They do get no again. They will chop him down, and now they find a third. Onto the Slardar. Static Storm's there, but so too is the wall. Bulba with the counterplay. Look for the egg. It's a great zoning egg. EG can't get to it to right click. They've got to run. Now it's End on the chase. He clips back Sumail. The kaboom comes out. FY jumping him again. The crushes from Yang. In and out he goes, but they have slept End. PPD keeping this Lifestealer in check for now, but he gets his vengeance. And then they look for Sumail, dropping the kinetic field, laying into him with the Sunray. They won him again. Sumail down once more. That's 3. Make it 4. The Illusions fighting for all they're worth. The army of undead.
It was 5 LD. It was a buyback from Fear, thinking he could get back to the fight before it was going to be over. And VG.R.
Not even close. He goes to farm bottom.
EG just got a little overconfident. They knew they'd completely caught the DK out. No makes a huge mistake there in the river, getting caught on the retreat. He tries to pop his BKB. Didn't have any detection for the invis, but Fear got a great call off to get him out of it. But VG.R. held their ground once EG chased for more. They were ready to fight. That Slardar Lifestealer, like Fear's axe is just getting killed in 2 or 3 right clicks every single time. The minus armor from the amp and now an Assault Crest on top of it with a Desolator is just too much to handle.
All of a sudden, I think it's fair to ask the question, Gods, how did EG get back in this game? Every fight, VG.R, they seem to just be getting the better team fight initiation, the better burst damage pickoffs, often playing from an advantage. What do EG need to do to turn this?
They need to be the one getting the jump. They need to prioritize getting vision up, using their smokes to initiate favorable team fights, because every single time EG's chasing and they're giving vision to VG.R, the fight seems to always start with a Blink Crush, and one hero on EG is being lost. Even in that 5v4 for EG, the fight started by VG.R getting a kill, turning into a 4v4, and then taking the fight from there. The Lifestealer is just proving to be too problematic, so getting 4 staffs up, they have 2 on Bulba as well as Sphere's Axe, but the Axe this Axe was once one of the most farmed heroes in the game. Now he's bottom 3.
Yeah,
that is,
Phoenix has long since surpassed him, and we've seen that egg start to have a really big impact in some of these fights. The tides have certainly turned for the boys in blue.
Yeah, I think AUI also really needs to get a Blink Dagger just so he can follow up the Blink initiation of either Fear or Bulba with an insta-Blink Omni Slash. That's where majority of his damage output can come from, but if he has to walk in, it just doesn't come fast enough.
Now on the smoke, VG.R roaming deep behind enemy lines. Looks like they may try to set up a ward here at that bottom hill, hoping that somebody will come to the tower, but the wave is pushing only slowly, so EG not obligated to defend the bottom lane just yet. Instead, they hang out near their Ancients, they play keep away. The smoke will be for naught. But VG.R, they can just go right back to farming. And speaking of follow-up burst damage, now we have a blink on End, so he's been kited in a couple of these fights, Gods, but now if someone's running from him and they're not doing damage, he will just be able to finish them off.
Yeah, this is a nice little pickup, very cost-effective item for him to guarantee his damage output in these fights. We'll run into some kind of item slot limitations as things continue beyond this, but very likely we see his Echo Saber replaced by some kind of big tier 4 item. And EG
late enough, maybe you even replace the armlet as well.
A Manta switch out for AUI. He disassembles his SMY. This is good to get out of the open wounds.
And the amp damage.
And make life a little bit harder for VG.R to deal with him if they want to try and initiate, but by no means like a major upgrade in terms of his damage output or what he brings to a team fight. This is not going to solve EG's problems. What's going to solve their problems is just better initiation, better team fights.
Well, that's got to come from Bulba or Fear. Those are the 2 key players for that as they swing the Bane around from the north, but a scan reveals it for VG.R. They know it's coming, and No moves in, looking for his vengeance on Sumail, who frantically backs up. PPD grips him from around the tree line. Quick crush, deleted. And then the Zank gets dropped. Oh, that was a bold maneuver by FY. That they get the glimpse on Sumail, that explains it. Lands the egg, gets the follow-up, then the Sunray, the Static Storm there as well. AUI barely making it out, but VG.R on the hunt. They kill off the healing ward. They rush forward. A horde of angry heroes led by the Fishman. Onto Bulba, trapped in the cage. Will he be able to make it out? They stun him, they kill him. 3 down, make it 4. AUI 2 has fallen. 1 buyback for EG. End is godlike, and EG's own end might be upon them.
What were we thinking doubting FY God? Like, FY knows what he's doing. He had a plan with that supernova.
What shot calling from VG.R.
And they knew they had the ward behind the tower, so they have a guaranteed glimpse catch here. The vision from VG.R is just catching EG by surprise time and time again, and what looked like a questionable egg at first turns into an amazing egg because they glimpse the key EG hero, the Death Prophet, back in, and suddenly EG, they've got to commit or they lose Sumail. Losing Sumail is losing, well, possibly Rack, but also fighting into the egg, also going to lose a team fight. So it was really a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, and suddenly VG.R.
I mean, you say possibly Rax. It is guaranteed Rax. Death Prophet, no ultimate for 70 seconds here. VG.R can push in all the lanes, get some deep wards down, and still have plenty of time before Sumail's even able to be a factor. At this point, I don't know what you do. They cannot keep Death Prophet alive in these fights.
It is so difficult. Like, no items in the world really solve Sumail's problems. If he ever gets blinked on by this Slatter with a Lifestealer inside, it's just game over for him.
And or even if he just gets blinked on by the Lifestealer, potentially he has to go Scepter right away, if not die, and then the follow-up comes. So with the Basher now, End can even run him down on his own.
For EG, they really need Fear to be the one starting the fight off, but he's just he's too squishy at this stage. Darkseer is not really a team fight initiator. He normally comes in middle of the fight as that counter puncher where it's like, okay, the opposing team is committed to this fight, there's a 4-hero vacuum wall available. You're never going to start the fight like at the very start with a vacuum wall unless your opponents are completely out of position, and that's where ideal scenario, Fear in the front lines or even AUI, but Fear too squishy. AUI, if he gets stunned up, he may not be able to get off his Blade Fury or Omni Slash, so the teamfight execution is very difficult for EG at this point.
The double Frost Dragon strat now unveiled. VG.R pulling out their secret tactics here in a knockout BO1 match. No has gotten absurdly tanky with this. And even more ways to kite the Jug, to shut him down in fights, to chase for additional kills. And it's just even harder for EG to actually burst someone at the start of the fight. None of these heroes are squishy anymore. Maybe the Slardar is a little bit vulnerable, but he's always getting the jump. And
once this Phoenix has an Aghanim Scepter, we're talking about core heroes like who are tanky, like Lifestealer, Dragonite, even Slardar to some extent, who can get pulled into an egg to keep them alive.
FY is getting close to it. 600 gold away.
They'd love to start a fight with an FY kill.
Oh, can they? They get the Blink Call. Backup coming in here from the Disruptor. FY fairly durable. That's not an easy Phoenix to bring down. Yang with a swing and a miss. A rare whiff there on the Crush, but No moves in anyway. And Fear melts. End comes in late. The gem has now hit the deck, and they turn on to PPD. Beating away at him. They get off the bash. They get the kill. AUI 2000 gonna be next, but before he drops it, Sumail. 3 dead. Make it 4. It's gonna be a wipe, and End gets the rampage! VG.R have finished EG, your TI5 champions. 4 of the players from that roster knocked out in the BO1s by VG Gaming, who truly are reborn here at the Mall of Asia Arena. What a beating this was towards the end.
I think the scoreline says a lot here. End on the Lifestealer, 14, 1, and 19. His Lifestealer really showed up. This has been the player who has really delivered for this team from the carry role. He's been one of the biggest young superstar carry players from this scene in the recent months, and he has completely delivered here on the Lifestealer. VG.R, they had a rocky early game laning stage, but their lineup, their draft, come mid-game time with these 3 tanky cores, the Slardar initiation with the Infest, it was just too much to deal with.
From first place at TI5 to last place here at the Manila Major, that is a tough pill to swallow for EG. TI, perhaps something they have a shot to look forward to, but this is a rough one.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's gone through a lot. They have to start looking forward from here, but for VG.R, they just played some great Dota from behind, and that's really, they were in a position where most teams would have just crumbled, but they didn't let it get to them, and considering that this is a team with a lot of youngsters, that's something really impressive to see VG.R moving through in this tournament.
I mean, let's remember how the game began. They were down 5,000 gold. They had lost all map control. They were up against 4 cores with 2.5 barely farming. EG won the laning stage flat out, but that smoke into Roche, it felt like that was where things really started to click.
Yeah, after that, they fought also around the cooldown of Exorcism incredibly well. Anytime Sumail didn't have Exorcism, they were the smoke into a fight, taking Roshan, getting something done on the map, and that was partly EG's undoing.
Well, with that, FY's all smiles here as he walks past the English casters. We'll hand it back to the panel. Guys, what do you think of VG.R?